Hello and welcome to the Try Talking Sport podcast, hosted by me, Joanne Murphy. Whether you are an athlete, adventurer, endurance enthusiast, or simply have an interest in sport, you have come to the right place for inspiration, encouragement, motivation, and as always, a little bit of entertainment. The end of August is fast approaching. Anyone else feel like the summer has passed in the blink of an eye? Seriously, it has just flown by. I'm sure lots of you here in Ireland have that Glenroe feeling this week as you get ready for the kids to go back to school. You're probably going to hate me for even mentioning it. Well, I'm making the most of the last weekend of this month by heading to Kerry to tackle the Ring of Kerry with some of the Galway Tri Club crew. The last time I was on the roads in Kerry was during the Race Around Ireland in 2017. I'm sure the hills haven't gotten any easier. I hope my legs hold up for the 180k cycle on Saturday. But as Rachel Nolan says, it's just a moving bike buffet. In the meantime, I'm trying to cram in the kilometres for the Galway Bay swim for Cansincare West, which finishes on the 31st of August. There's lots of double dips this week to make up the distance of 13k in skins for the month. My initial plan of trying to swim 30 to 40k for the challenge went out the window with the bad weather and jellyfish. Yes, I am a total wimp, but at least I'll get the 13k done and a bit extra by next week. Now, with the Paralympics kicking off this week, I'm looking forward to being glued to the action as it unfolds in Tokyo. There'll be lots of late nights, early mornings and plenty of screaming at the TV over the next couple of weeks. As we heard during the week, the Ironman World Championships, due to be held in Kona this October, have been rescheduled to the 5th of February 2022, and the 70.3 Worlds in St George this year have also been altered to a one-day event. Next year's 70.3 World Championships, due to take place in New Zealand, has also been moved to St George. Lots of changes due to the ever-evolving COVID situation globally. I have to say I'm looking forward to being in a few races closer to home over the coming weeks. Triathlete, Loch Cutra, Ironman 70.3 Weymouth and the one-off Ironman 70.3 Bolton are all in the diary for September, and I hope to see lots of familiar faces at these races. Did you know it's my 10-year announcing anniversary next month? Yep, 10 years. Hard to believe it really. It all started at Ironman 70.3 Galway in 2011 on a wet, wild and wonderful day in the west of Ireland. Keep an eye on our social pages and our snazzy new website for some anniversary giveaways. Now to this week's episode with British professional triathlete Fenella Langridge. Fenella took to professional racing like a duck to water in 2018, exploding onto the scene with 5 podium finishes in 7 races, including her first professional title at Ironman 70.3 Edinburgh. Fenella says she is just a big kid at heart and loves what she does. With the biggest smile on her face, she finished the Challenge Daytona race in 7th position last year before going on to claim a silver medal at Ironman Coeur d'Alene in June of this year and stamp her ticket for Kona, finishing in 8 hours, 59 minutes and 49 seconds. A sub-9 debut Ironman. She has had her fair share of injuries over the past number of years, but through her infectious positivity, commitment to her craft and her patience, she has bounced back to deliver some performances she can be very proud of, including her win at Ironman 70.3 Barcelona in 2019, just 1 week after her bike crash in France, which resulted in a DNF and several stitches. With an abundance of drive and determination, coupled with natural talent and a thirst for success, the quietly spoken athlete lets her ability and performance do the talking. Still in her 20s, on the cusp of a new decade, Fenella has lots more fun to have in the sport of triathlon, and there are plenty of podiums and medals in her future. Enjoy the show. Fenella, thank you so much for joining me on the show. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you, and thanks for having me. I look back at some of the guests and I listened through some of them, and to come after them, it's quite humbling, and it's nice to be on here.
Brilliant. Well, I'm delighted to have you on the show. And as we just mentioned before we started recording, I was talking about your phenomenal race in Coeur d'Alene, which we will come back to. But, I can't start the interview without saying congratulations. An Ironman, a full distance Ironman debut, 8 hours, 59:49, second in Coeur d'Alene, stamping a ticket to Kona. I mean, it's what dreams are made of.
Yeah, it's quite surreal saying it like that. I never thought, at the beginning of the year, I didn't even think I'd be doing an Ironman. It was all a little bit last minute, and I can now officially say I am an Ironman. So it's pretty cool.
Actually, I should have said Fenella Langridge. You are an Ironman.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds even better coming from your Irish accent.
Now, you probably had Mike Riley call you an Ironman on the day, did you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know,
yeah.
he trumped
He's all right. I'll let him. Not quite the same as you, but
he doesn't have quite a strong Irish accent, but we'll give it to him. We'll allow him.
Yeah, we'll allow. He is Mr. Ironman, isn't he?
He certainly is the voice of Ironman. Before we start talking about Coeur d'Alene and the plans for Kona and all of that, first of all, you have some teddy bears and a Yoda in the room with you on your bed. So I'd like to talk about those first before we talk about your background in sport. So tell me, why have you so many teddies in your room and what's the story behind them?
Because I'm just a big kid at heart. No, not really. I've just got monkeys. So it's just a thing with Bill and I. It's probably a little bit stupid, but we just buy each other monkeys. So this is the first one. Its name's Apple. And then we've got Orange. Oh, we did have another Orange, but I lost it. So we just had to rename it. And this is Baby Yoda that I got from my friend Lisa Roberts in America, who now runs ultra running, and she has one of these stuffed in her backpack, and it's given her good luck. So she gave it to me when I stayed with her. And it obviously did do me quite good luck because I took it to Coeur d'Alene with me. But they're all named after fruits, and it's just something silly that Bill and we do. So
I love it. So there's never any stress for anniversary presents or birthday presents. It's always a monkey.
No, something to do with a monkey or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Where did the obsession with monkeys come from?
I'm not sure. I think he just started calling me monkey or something like that, and then it just, one thing led to another, and it spirals, and then it ends up on cards or in birthday presents or in anniversary gifts or something. It's
just
like
your thing.
Yeah,
it's very cute.
Well, sometimes, not all the time.
So Fenella, you stormed onto the professional racing circuit in 2018 with a storming display of courage and commitment and sportsmanship and performance with a serious amount of podiums in 2018.
Yeah.
But before we talk about 2018, where did the background in sport come from, or what were you like as a kid? Were you sporty? Did you play sport? Were you a swimmer, cyclist, runner? All of the above? None of the above? What did you do?
All of the above. I'm the youngest in my family, so I think I've always just been trying to keep up with my two older brothers. And just following them, whatever they did. So I played hockey when I was younger, and I swam. Mum ran, so I ran with her. And then I was always just doing those for just enjoyment. My mum coached and my dad coached hockey, so I'd go along and just join in with them and my brothers. So I was always good when growing up and competitive. I played like maybe county level, or I never went to like nationals or anything like that. So that's all through school. And then secondary school, got into gymnastics, still carried on everything. So I'd like swim before school, after school club, go to hockey practice, then go to running. So it was just always full on, and it's a long day. And I was the one that was waking up my mum, being like, "Mum, can we go swimming, please?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine." She would never say no, but I was the driving force behind it, as I wanted to do it. And I'm not sure why now, looking back at it, but for some reason I did. And so I guess I did a little bit of everything. And then university, I focused a bit on hockey in my first year, which was great. I got the whole university experience, the socializing, the drinking, the late nights. But then I just found that I needed to do something for me a little bit more rather than everyone else. And I love the fitness side of it. We're always in the gym, and I took that weight probably more seriously than the other, or playing part of it. And so I started running, and then obviously I'd done a little bit of swimming previously as a kid, and I saw the triathletes rocking around. I thought, well, I can run. I used to swim. I just need to learn how to ride my bike. So my last year at uni was probably my first official start of triathlon, and it just spiraled from there, really.
So what year was that?
2013.
So what happened then between 2013 and 2018? Were you on the age group circuit for a while, or?
I guess being based with the university, I went to like one of my first races was Bucks. And then, during that, I think the first year I did Bucks, and then I did like local races. So age group races. So triathlons up and down the country. I was based in Wales, so around Cardiff, Porthcawl, Llanelli and stuff like that. And I think it was the end of that series, I was eligible, or I got into like a British Super Series race. So that was elite drafting in the British circuit. So I think I did London that year, and then that went on to doing the whole of the series the year after. So that would have been Liverpool, London, Blenheim, maybe one more. And I think at the end of that year, I ended up doing my first European Cup, which is like a similar type of racing to what you see the WTS, but at a European level. And so I did that in my second year. And again, I carried on doing age group races. So like local triathlons up and down the country, which was so much fun. And then, I think in my third year, I did maybe 4 or 5 European Cups, which were great. And then I got enough points to qualify for World Cups. And at that point, I'd finished university, but I was working part-time. Well, I had 20 hours a week, and I was training 30 hours a week. I was cycling everywhere. I was commuting on my bike around Cardiff, getting to maybe at one point, I think I had 3 different jobs, just trying to like personal training, working for Kidney Wales Foundation, and also another job somewhere else, and I think in the bike shop or something like that, just trying to earn my pocket money, pay for these races, and also train at this, I'd say, pretty high level. So I did that, and a point came where we were living in Cardiff. I was doing all this commuting and working and training, and I wanted to go full time, and Bill wanted to go full time in coaching. So we just bit the bullet and said, well, we can't afford to live in Cardiff without working. So we moved back to Salisbury. I live with my mum still. And it was probably one of the hardest decisions we made, because it always seems like a backwards move, moving back in with your parents. But when we sit here now and I look back, it was probably the best thing that we ever could have done, because then, like you say, in 2018, I had 5 podiums in 6 or 7 races that I did in my first year in professional racing.
So I have the results here in front of me, because as I was saying earlier, we met for the first time in Staffordshire, where you came 3rd, but prior to that you had come 3rd in Pays d'Aix, you'd come 2nd in Barcelona, the 70.3, then you came to Staffordshire that June, then you won Ironman 70.3 Edinburgh. You raced at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. Then you went on to come 3rd at the Ironman 70.3 in Weymouth, and you were 5th in Challenge Pegira. So you had like a mad schedule from May to October with 5 podiums.
Yeah. I think that first year I just wanted to race and enjoy and learn. That's all I wanted to do that first year. Race and learn what it's like to race over the 70.3 distance for one, and in the professional ranks, and learning that was my first year fully committing to triathlon, and not having to stand on my feet for 20 hours a day doing other types of work, or even longer if you countering the commuting that I ended up having to do.
So how did your training change then? Because you were doing 30 hours a week when you were doing all that crazy stuff with work and commuting. So did you still train 30 hours a week, or did you increase it slightly, or did you reduce it slightly to allow for more recovery?
30 would be a big week. So it's only that much maybe when at different points during the year. It's normally anywhere between 22 to 30. So when I went full time, nothing actually changed. I was just able to sit down during sessions, in between sessions, and recover properly. That's probably the only difference.
And you raced then very well again in 2019. You had 3 podiums. You won Ironman 70.3 Barcelona, taking the top step at the podium after coming 2nd the previous year. Then you went to Challenge Gerardsbergen. And then you were second as well in the Ironman 70.3 Elsinore, and you were fifth in Dubai. So you were fairly trucking with the podiums again in 2019.
And that wasn't I had lots of setbacks in 2019. In my first, I actually raced Paydax again, but I fell off my bike during the race and I ended up in a French hospital with stitches in my elbows. And Ironman 70.3 Barcelona was the week after, and we drove from Paydax to Barcelona because we'd always planned to do it, but at that point it was still up in the air even if we would even race, because obviously I had stitches in my elbows. I'd fallen off my bike the week before on a quite technical downhill section. It was completely my fault. And Barcelona again is a hilly technical bike course, so going to a race, just psychologically, it wouldn't have been the wisest choice to go in and go straight back on the horse, so to speak. But I got there. Well, I think I did one test swim just to make sure that I could bend my elbows. And I only had one bike where I tried to put my elbows on your skis or tri bars. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And then, I ended up suppressing all expectations and ended up winning that race. So it was probably more the fact that because I didn't finish the race the week before, I just wanted to go in there and demonstrate all the hard work that I'd done previously and just show to myself and on behalf of Billy and all the people that supported us before, that I just wanted to go put on a show kind of thing, to show that all the hard work that we'd put in wasn't for nothing.
So how did you pick yourself up from having come off the bike, get injured, be in hospital, the kind of the uncertainty about whether you could race or couldn't race in Barcelona, to then actually set your mindset and your focus that, hey, okay, we're going to race this and we're going to smash it?
I think it almost helped because all expectation and was put out the window. I could just focus on what I needed to do and enjoy it more, maybe. Just process goals. And the first few days were a bit turbulent in terms of like emotion and how this was going to go and all that sort of stuff. But everything was already set in place. The hotel was paid for. My name was on the start line. I didn't have to worry about anything like that. I just had to make sure that I did what I needed to do. There was no other caveats, no other things to think about.
And did you have fun? Did you stand on the start line and think, it's great to be here, I'm going to have fun today because there's less pressure on me?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's probably one of my favorite races because of that. And the people in Barcelona is it's like a party. Like the atmosphere at the race is really good. Logistically, it's really easy and fun. And I think I just really wanted to put down a performance I was proud of, because the week before I couldn't do that, and no one was gonna stop me, and I just wanted to go out there and really enjoy racing, and I wanted to enjoy that finish line, which I think in other races again you don't get that anywhere else, that red carpet moment. It's like nothing else when you finally cross that finish line, and when you're winning, or sometimes we've overcome so many barriers just to get there. So to get to that moment it is amazing.
Speaking of performances, we move swiftly on to 2020 to Challenge Daytona, where you did absolutely amazing to finish in 7th position. So talk to me about that event, because the eyes of the triathlon world were on Challenge Daytona for the men's race and for the women's race, because literally it was one of the only big races that went ahead in 2020.
It was a really odd but amazing race. Again, I think it's similar to maybe Barcelona. You didn't have much expectation, or you didn't know where you were going into it, so you couldn't make too many race plans in terms of it's going to go like this and it's going to go like this. You kind of had to go with the flow and just go with the race dynamics and make the decisions in the race and hope that they're the right ones. Again, I didn't go into it with the best preparation in terms of running. So maybe that was a good thing in terms of took a little bit of stress or expectation off my shoulders, just going in there knowing that I just have to swim and bike, and then whatever happens on the run happens on the run. And yeah, again, I got to that carpet and I just was, it was just a celebration of what had happened the year we had to get there, and it just all came out, and I was so happy to come 7th.
It was brilliant. I mean, we were all watching the coverage unfold, and as I was saying to you earlier as well, when we were watching Coeur d'Alene, just screaming at the screen to tell you to just keep moving forward. What was it like, Fenella? I know you raced the 70.3 World in 2018, but you're stepping up to quite a different mix of athletes in 2020 at Challenge Daytona. So you had the mix of the long course, the short course, and this was like a hybrid middle distance event, but stepping up with athletes that were unknown to you, that you hadn't raced before. You probably knew them, but had never raced them. What was it like with that different mix of athletes to be coming up against?
I think like maybe 3 or 4 weeks prior to the race, it is quite intimidating because these are huge names of the sport. They've been around for years, that have shown their pedigree throughout triathlon. So yeah, I think maybe 3-4 weeks prior to that, I was quite nervous and anxious of all the people and intimidated. But you have to believe in yourself and to know that anything can happen on the day. You shouldn't, and like Lucy Gossage said this to me, but you shouldn't put anyone on a pedestal. No one's necessarily better than you. And yeah, stranger things have happened. So you can't write yourself out of a race just because they've done A, B, and C in the past. Obviously, you can't neglect it, but times are moving on in the sport, and times are getting better, and people are getting faster. Technology is getting better, and I'm quite new to it. And no offense to some of the girls, they're on their later legs of triathlon. I'm still in my 20s just, and they're in their late 30s. So, and in a short, fast type of racing that Daytona was, it could only suit the younger athletes. And I think we saw that when looking at the results afterwards.
Of your Challenge Daytona performance, what are you most proud of?
I think just getting there in the right headspace and enjoying and embracing the experience and not being overwhelmed by the event itself. Because I think it can be quite daunting when you're stood next to world champions and your idols of the sport, basically. So yeah, I think more the 7th, it's great, but I think I could have done better. So it's probably more the approach and how I got myself there.
When we look at the race, the Coeur d'Alene race, talk me through that for the listeners who maybe didn't get to watch it on Facebook Live. Talk me through that race and going into it and how you were feeling. 27th of June, it was the time to stamp a ticket for Kona if Kona was to be an option, and you came away second on the day. Obviously,
before the race, we thought about Kona. It was always, but I put it to the back of my mind. That race wasn't about Kona. It was about respecting an Ironman and respecting the distance and the heat, because it was 44 degrees. So it was pretty warm that day, which I don't think is dissimilar to Kona. So it gives a little bit of confidence moving forward. I don't know. I think I was really happy all the way through it, leading up into the race. Plan was written down, and I guess because I'd been injured or I had niggles in the first 2 races, which meant I couldn't finish them. So to come this race, I just wanted to finish it. And I know it sounds not very pro, or it sounds maybe more like an age group, but literally that was all that was going through my mind. I just want to finish a race and be happy. So I went through every aid station. I took as much nutrition as I could. I was singing on the bike just to keep myself entertained, ticking off the hours. It was quite lucky that the course was laps, so mentally that was quite nice. So 2 lap swim, 2 laps on the bike, and then a 3-lap run to split it up to make it slightly easier as an Ironman can be. But yeah, the bike seemed to go quite quick. It was quite lonely out there, but on the second lap you had people, and I was just keeping myself entertained, counting down or singing, like I said before. And the run was pretty tough, which I think you can expect that for any Ironman run. And because I had that injury or setback before, I hadn't actually done that much running leading into the race. I'd only done, my longest run was probably an hour and 45. And maybe I did 2 90-minute runs, 3 90-minute runs. So that was the biggest unknown for me. So I got to that halfway point, or even before the halfway point, and I was like, well, this is my longest run in about 6 or 7 weeks.
Were you nervous about what might happen in that second half of the run, that you might break down, or that you might DNF, or that you just wouldn't have it in the legs to carry forward? I
don't think DNF was ever an option, because if I was moving, I was going to finish. But yeah, I didn't know what I was entering into when I got into that second part of the run. And that third lap was, my quads just got heavy, and I tried to eat. I was like, Bill said, if you get to that point, that's when you can have Coke. So I was like, give me all the Coke, please.
I think I saw a post on the day that you had up on Instagram of him shouting at you saying, just get food at every aid station, take on fluids, and ice in your pants or ice in your top, just to keep you cool, like the strategies for the serious hot weather. You know, and from I suppose a supporter's side of things, you know, how important is it that Bill is there with you at the races as well? I know he's your partner, but he's also your coach. You know, that he's there as part of your support bubble.
Oh, it's invaluable. But I wouldn't want to be in his shoes or any supporter's shoes, because honestly, I think, you know, on the finish shoot, you're there for a very long time, and you're in that heat for just as long. And I think Bill was in a worse place than I was the day after Coeur d'Alene. Honestly, the stress that he went through, because he gets more nervous than me, and honestly, he doesn't know what's happening when I'm like 50 miles away on the bike, because you can't always see it and you don't know what I'm thinking. So yeah, honestly, he was in a big hole after the race. But I'm glad he was there. And for anyone to shout your name, or just even if they don't shout your name, to be like, keep going, just the support on the course just always makes it. And I think it's different from a 70.3. It was different type of encouragement, or like, I don't know what the word would be, like sympathy, but not sympathy. I don't think that's the right word, but
empathy, maybe.
Empathy,
the word.
Yeah. Like, why the hell are you doing this? Well done. I think you're crazy.
I think it's, people are just in awe of people who do an Ironman. I mean,
even just to sign up for one, I think, is to have the balls to put your name forward, to say, I'm going to commit to this race, I'm going to get myself to the start line, is a huge achievement. There's so many people that wouldn't even attempt it, and it is, like, I know it's hard for us or the professionals, but it's even harder for the people who are going slightly slower, because they're out there for even longer than we are. And honestly, my hat goes off to anyone who does it or even attempts it.
Can I ask, when did your mind, or was your mind always in it during the race of, geez, I'm in the gold medal position or the silver medal position, or I'm first, I'm second? You know, when did you kind of let your brain celebrate that you were going to be on the podium?
I knew the girls behind me were very experienced and very classy. So, and the run, obviously, like I said, I hadn't gone into it probably with the best preparation, but I don't know, maybe it was. I've only done one. So I think I knew it was always going to come down to the foot race, and they would probably catch me at one point. I thought they'd catch me sooner, so I'm quite happy about that in a way. But I just knew if I kept moving forward that I'd hold on to the podium. So, but like, anything can happen. You saw Lionel's pardon me, Lionel Sanders in that race just go down to a walk, and it can happen to anyone. So you can't start thinking of that podium or that position until you're literally on the red carpet, and then you're like, oh, okay, and embrace this now.
And it was funny actually, because I watched you coming down the red carpet, and you were savoring the moment, and we were all watching the clock. It's 8:59 when she go for the sub 9, and it was like, if I was on the finish line, I'd have been roaring at you, come on, it's gonna be sub 9. But it was, it was your first Ironman, it was a sub 9 anyway. But it was almost like
only just. Imagine if I'd stopped to give someone a hug or something.
I know. I mean, you wouldn't be able to say you were sub 9, but like 11 seconds off was just, it was class though. It was class.
I didn't realise how close it was. Bill was telling me, he's like, just keep running this and you'll go sub 9. But I was like, I can't go any faster. So I don't know why you're telling me. And then it was so lucky that it was only just under. But
it's just as well you didn't stop at any of the aid stations.
Oh no, imagine. I didn't actually stop at all. I was like, I've just got to keep moving.
Was it hard to keep going?
Yeah, there's it's undulating course, and there's a bit more of a drag on the last lap. I was like, I'm hardly running here. So I did feel like walking then, or just like power walking. But yeah, I just kept going.
And then the big question is, how did you celebrate?
What did we do the day after? So the evening we went back and we watched the Heroes Hour, which was really cool. We went out for dinner or lunch kind of thing after the race. Bill absolutely crashed, so we didn't do much that evening.
To be fair, he probably had a longer day than you, and probably didn't consume as much sugar as you did.
Yeah. So I was like twiddling my thumbs and just watching him sleep next to me. But it was the day after, on the Monday, we went out on a boat with a few of the other pros, which was so much fun. And yeah, just had a few drinks, went wake surfing, and on the lake at Coeur d'Alene. It was stunning. It was probably one of the best days I've had in a while. Nearly as good as the race.
So you've stamped the ticket for Kona. It's now August. Presumably you're not going to race again between now and the Dance on the Big Island.
Yeah, I will be. It would either be the Collins Cup, quite unlikely to get. I'm not in the automatic. It would either be a captain's pick or what's the word? A reserve. But I'm like a third, so it's quite unlikely. But you never know. But if not, I'll definitely be racing the championships the day after.
It's the 28th of August, isn't it? 28th and 29th of August.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So race then, and then a camp, and then race in Kona.
Will you go to the States in advance to acclimatise, get ready for it? And have you raced Kona as an age grouper? Obviously not, because it was your first full distance. That was a stupid question, Joanne. I'm just going to delete that.
No, don't. I've never been to the island.
No. Will you go to Kona early to acclimatise, get used to the swim, bike and run out there, the heat, the humidity?
Apparently Kona is not that great to go to too far before the race, but I think we're going to head to Maui for 3 to 4 weeks and then fly over a week before, so we'll be well acclimatized hopefully to the heat, the wind, and we've done quite a lot of sea swimming and stuff like that, so that's the plan at the moment.
Have you expectations for Kona, or is it a case of going out and just seeing how good you can be on the Big Island?
I'm a competitive person, I guess, so I always want to go there and compete, but I have to be realistic. It's only my second Ironman. It'll be my first time at Kona and in a World Championships. I'll be happy with a top 10, but you just don't know. Like, I just want to get there healthy, happy and fit. Like, I missed out on other World Championships before because I've ended up with niggles or injuries or stuff like that. So I just want to go there and be in a good place. And then I think when you're in that place, the rest kind of hopefully will slot in, and it will just be a so much more enjoyable experience.
So how are you going to protect your mind and your body? to get to the start line in the best possible position? Is there anything that you'll do between now and race day to just make sure that your focus is on the right things, that you're not stressing over little things, that you're not getting those injuries that might likely see you not get enough training done for the event? A bit like Coeur d'Alene, where the longest run you had was 1 hour 40.
I think keeping things simple will definitely be my philosophy going into it, because I think Coeur d'Alene showed that you don't need to overcomplicate it. It's just training at the end of the day. And I still ran a 3:13, which isn't obviously it's not Anne Haug pace or anything, but it's not too bad. And if I can do that after very little running, if I do just as well, not just as much, but like if I have a little bit more focus and just stay smart, I don't have to go crazy with the mileage, that you can get to an Ironman in better shape. I think so many people, from speaking to other professionals, go into Ironman, especially, like, I swear they're overcooked. It's probably better to go into an Ironman undercooked and then cook yourself in the race. So
literally in
especially in Kona, and with all the races that are going on, I think we're going to see a lot of people who end up doing that. And I don't know, hopefully I'm not one of them, and I'd rather go in a little bit underprepared than overprepared. So yeah, just keeping it simple, session by session, not overcomplicating it, just training with others, making sure it's enjoyable. If things don't quite go right in a session, that's all right. Just, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. And then you go week by week, and hopefully I'll get to the island and it'll be all tickety-boo. But
tickety-boo. So who's in your training bubble? Who do you turn to for training support when you're cooking up those performances?
It's been different people in the past. Hopefully we'll be heading up to Maui with Ruth Athel, so that'll be quite good. So I've never trained with her before, but I know she's super strong and super solid, and I know there'll be other people out in Maui as well, if that's definitely where we decide to go. But if not, Bill's quite good to chase. I'm quite self-motivated, so I don't mind turning up on my own and hammering out a session. Yeah, and it's just calling people and keeping that cool head. But I'm happy to go along with anyone. I'm not really, if people want to train, that's fine, I can go train with them. But yeah.
What did you do after Coeur d'Alene to have a bit of a break? Did you take a break? Did you chill out? Did you try something different?
Yeah, I did chill out. I didn't do anything structured for 2 weeks, just because I think the demand of an Ironman is a lot greater than some people think. And it's not necessarily, it's more the demand on your heart and lungs that you don't really see. And I think so many people come back and there's still that residual fatigue, and that could take a while to shake off. So I just made sure that I didn't stress them for 2 weeks. I did some like mountain biking and a bit of swimming, but nothing that got my heart rate up. It was more just because I was in a night at that point. I went back to Bend, Oregon, and we were with Heather and Watty, and we were just enjoying being there. So we were riding our bikes for fun, and we rode to the pub. We rode into town, or just were swimming in the lakes and stuff like that. So yeah, 2 weeks just chilled, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, stay up late or sleep in or whatever. So 2 weeks like that, and then after that just slowly add a little bit more structure back in, a little bit more intensity. But it's probably I've probably been only back into like I would say a proper training program for 3 weeks now. So
you mentioned a few minutes ago about being self-motivated. When you go to train, when you see sessions coming up across swim, bike or run, number one, which is your favorite discipline?
It's different probably depending on the session.
Well, then my next question was going to be, what's your favorite session? So if you had a choice of swim, bike and run on any day, what would you pick?
Actually, to be fair, I just like long easy stuff. So I like to just get in the lake and just, if you're with a good group of people, just swimming and like playing, like if we're in a lake, just, or maybe even like a skills session, so you're like practicing around a buoy or doing some sprints and stuff like that, or if you're in the ocean, just like playing in the waves, practicing your ins and outs and body surfing and stuff like that. Biking, just like, yeah, really like a steady coffee long 3-4 hour ride on a nice summer's day, you can't beat it. And running again, yeah, a long run, that's probably one of my favorites.
Coming back to the playing in the water, what's your handstand game like? Out of 10 in the water, what would you give yourself for an underwater handstand?
10. I'm pretty good on land as well. So
sure, you have your gymnastics background. I forgot.
Oh, my background, yeah, my many medals. I'm joking, I don't have any.
But actually, I want to talk to you about gymnastics. When you look at the shape and the performance that your body needs to be in to perform at the highest level, a lot of the skills and things that you would have learned as a young gymnast probably stand to you now, and the importance of strength and conditioning and all of that. Do you still do a lot of the stuff that you used to do in gymnastics from a core and a strength workout side of things, or has it completely changed?
No, I definitely do. I probably didn't get it from gymnastics. We got it from, well, I used to work quite a lot in S&C and university. I used to like shadow the head S&C groups and all the high performance athletes. So every weekday morning I'd be in the gym at 6 o'clock and I'd be helping with there's big guys lifting big weights, and I'd be there like trying to pick up this thing and then pass it to them. But yeah, I from that point on, and then I went and got my personal training qualification, and that was always I'm a big advocate for S&C, so it's probably where I got it from more than gymnastics. But I can definitely see the crossover and strength element that you need for a gymnastic, and how that could help you as an adult and as an adolescent. And it's just that flexibility and that range of movement, and having strength in those planes as well will definitely help any sport that you move into in later life.
When you decided to go pro, if you hadn't decided at that time to become a professional athlete, would you have gone down the personal training route? Is that what the plan was, or had you other plans in the background?
No, I don't really have. I'm not very academic, so I don't really have many plans. And when I was at university, it was the first time my eyes were open to professional sport, and I saw that as an actual career option. And from then I probably didn't look back. So I probably didn't really have a plan A or a plan B. I just knew that I enjoyed it. I was pretty good at it. Let's see if I can make a living from it. I don't know, maybe I would have gone into teaching. I thought about going into the army. I thought about being a policewoman. I never really had a career. Definitely personal training was great, and I do love coaching, and it's something I will want to do once I've finished with professional sport. At what kind of like level I want to coach, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'd want to go only coach elite, or if I'd want to work on even the younger side and more of a development kind of role in terms of the young guys, because I think there's something missing in that in triathlon. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to do.
And then looking at your own future opportunities in sport, you've done very, very well at 70.3. You've clearly done very well in your singular Ironman, but your form across 70.3 has actually been really good over the past few years as well. For 2021 and beyond, do you think, will you stick with 70.3, or will you try and see how things go at the longer distance racing, or which is your preferred race distance?
I think it depends on a number of things. 70.3 racing is so much fun, but the way it is moving towards more Olympic style racing, which I'll still be able to do and do at a high level, because I've got like you said, I can perform. I'm quite consistently good performer, but it also might be swayed slightly towards money in races, and especially with the PTO coming in, it might change how we end up racing. I think there'll always be a big kudos and a big draw to Kona, and that World Championship race, and I don't think that will ever lose that. But maybe it might be more beneficial to race 5 or 6 70.3 races and make a living better that way, rather than all eggs in one basket for Kona. And the way the triathlon's developing, I don't know where that's going to go in the next few years. So I can't really say for definite, but I really did enjoy racing the Ironman distance. But the 70.3 distance has definitely changed in terms of dynamics and how you need to approach the race. So I think you can't as easily be good at both. Yeah, and there's only a few athletes that ever have, and I think Daniela and Frodeno are probably the only two that have won both World Championships in 1 year. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Is there a lot of stress and pressure coming with being a professional athlete from the financial side of things?
Yeah, definitely. And especially an up and coming new triathlete, to try and get the backing and support. And it's more mentally as well, I think, for sure, just to know that you can do things without worrying about them. So like camps, and it's not just getting to camps, it's the accommodation, it's the food when you're there, it's transport, it's then you've got to think about pools and facilities and massage and all those little things that you need to still have to make it worth doing. To go, like, no point going into something half-heartedly, you kind of need to fully commit to it. So it's having the resources to do those types of things as well.
Did COVID stop you from going abroad to camps this year? Because normally you're in Lanzarote, aren't you?
So we were lucky that after Miami, we stayed in America. So we were there for 3-4 months. So that would have been our trips to Europe. Or we'd be in Lanzarote, and then we'd probably go to Mallorca, and then we would have maybe a race in America or something like that. But yeah, it hindered it more the year before, but
2019
so
yeah 2020 sorry as opposed to this year.
I know, I keep forgetting.
I know,
I always forget it even happened 2020.
I didn't know what day of the week it was last week, because we had a bank holiday here, and I thought Thursday was Wednesday, all day. It was just crazy. I just losing total track of time, and the weeks are flying by. Looking beyond COVID, I guess, really is the way to put it. Looking beyond COVID and the opportunities for racing in the future, where would you like to race, and what other races would you like to win?
I would like to race in Australia or New Zealand, just because I've never been there. So maybe it would be pretty cool to go race the World Championships, the 70.3 World Championships next year. Well, Kona probably would be one, but hopefully I'm going to be ticking that one off. I still want to do quite a lot of European races in the Alps, or go and do Roth, or even some of like Malaysia or some of those islands races. Yeah, just
pack your bags and travel the world.
Yeah, definitely.
You need to get like an airline to sponsor you.
Wouldn't that be kind of
cool?
Yeah. Well, when we were in America, we traveled to race in an RV, and I would love an RV. If we spent another block in the US, I think that would be the way to do it. You could just go to different places. It's so easy. You could be like in the mountains 1 minute at altitude, and then on some like beach the next. Then you can be on like the desert. It would be really cool.
We need to get a company in the States to sponsor you for your next trip out. Yeah. You could do 6 months on the islands of Hawaii.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you imagine?
Please pay for this. Yeah. Somebody. I'm definitely working.
Yeah, you're training, a professional athlete. You're working. Every day you're working.
Well, I live with my mum, but my mum owns a pub, so there's a pub downstairs. And so whenever we go down, and they've here we've been away in like America or France or whatever, they're like, just think it's some holiday. But we're like, if you want to spend 1 day with me on my holiday, I'm not sure you could keep up. But
and tell me, do you sell much Guinness in that pub now?
we don't sell Guinness anymore.
No Guinness.
Well, they did have a local substitute called Corvus, which is the local brewery makes a stout. But no, we don't serve Guinness anymore. We have it in cans, but I don't think that's the same.
Oh no, definitely not Guinness from a can. Maybe I'll ask you, do you sell much Tullamore Dew whiskey or Jameson whiskey?
Oh, we do have Jameson, yeah. The old guys like a Jameson at the end of the night. You
can't beat a nice Jameson. It's medicinal, absolutely medicinal.
Okay, maybe I'll try it. I've never
definitely, but not the night before a race now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one ends up 2 and 2 ends up 3, and then
you go on to try and race, and hey, you might sleep in and not make the alarm for your race. We are coming towards the end of the conversation, but before we do, there's 2 things I want to ask you about. The first one is you have a lovely quote on your website. It's consistency creates the waves of success. Where did that come from?
I think we wanted, I don't know, I think once I was talking about it with my friend Jane, who helped me build the website, and we wanted something to go in there, and we were just bouncing words off each other, and it just came out. So I'm not sure. I think we just like waves, the way it flows, and I'm a Pisces and I love water, and it just seemed quite appropriate.
It's very good. I do like it. You should have that splashed everywhere. And then, of course, on your Instagram profile, it is food, naps, and crafts.
Yes.
Talk to me about the naps and crafts.
Well, I can nap at a drop of a hat. So just send me to a dark room and I'll be asleep. It's a secret skill, Bill says, to be fair, most of my family has it. My dad and my brothers. In the afternoons, if we're all together, we'll probably just all be napping like on the sofas or something. And yeah, crafts. I think I just like doing stuff with my hands, even if it's just like baking, or I'd much rather be making something in the kitchen or like sewing or like cards or something than sit down in front of a computer researching or something like that.
You weren't inspired to take up knitting watching Tom Daley in the Olympics? No?
I did look at it, but maybe not quite yet.
Or maybe not to the extent that he does it.
Yeah,
because every time I saw him, he was knitting.
That cardigan was quite impressive, I've got to say. And his medal holder, he created a little medal holder, which was quite cool as well.
I know you're very proud of all that you've achieved, and obviously your sub-9, your debut Ironman and Challenge Daytona, you're very proud of it as well. But of all of your life achievements, what are you most proud of, inside or outside of sport?
That's quite hard. I think my just ability to bounce back and keep going. I'm not sure where it came from or why I have it, or maybe just the like outlook on life is I'm just quite relaxed. I don't know, maybe that's quite a good thing to be, but I don't know if you can be proud of that, or if that's my parents should be proud of that for somehow installing it in me. But yeah, like maybe that.
And speaking of your parents, and obviously we've chatted about Bill as well, who or what have been the biggest influences in your life to date?
Probably them growing up in there, or making nothing seem that challenging. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but it was just, okay, yeah, we'll go do that, or you can go play in the street, or go chase after your brothers, or go swim in the sea, whatever. That kind of freedom as a child really changed me. My school teacher, Fran Arnold, was pretty influential, just I think installing that passion for sport. We used to, on training for like gym competitions, we used to, should allow us to skip lessons so that we could go practice, which probably wasn't the best looking about it, but I loved it. So that, and then I went to Nepal in my first year at uni, and that's where I think my whole, I don't know, after I came back, I wouldn't say I changed completely, but I think my drive and my direction changed after that trip. I don't know why. It just did.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic to have you on the show, and the very best of luck to you in Kona and beyond. I can't wait to see how it all
hopefully we'll see you on the island.
Well, you'd never know. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much again for joining me on the show, and the very best of luck. And I hope they'll get you another monkey just because you're awesome.
Yeah, I need one. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget you can get in touch with any feedback or guest suggestions by emailing me on trytalkingsport@gmail.com. I'd love to connect on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. Pop by and say hi and let me know what you think of the show. If you are new to Try Talking Sport, please do check out some of our previous episodes. You will be both impressed and inspired by our amazing guests. Until next time, stay safe, keep smiling, and remember to look for fun and adventure in every day.